Taco Bout It Mexican Fusion is traditional Mexican food, but with a little bit of a flair.
Tacos being the talk of the town are what brought Talk About It from a food truck to a brick and mortar location.
Remember her now, by doing tortillas.
Because a tasty taco starts with a true tortilla.
You trust a big name because you assume they've nailed food safety, right? But what if I told you 5 of America's most popular chains have stacked up outbreaks, hospital trips, and even federal fines? The logos are familiar, the menus are cheap, but behind the counter, the record looks more like a game of microbial roulette. This isn't about one bad meal. It's about patterns, years of repeated mistakes. By the end, you'll know which places could be serving up more than you asked for, and exactly what that risk looks like.
One of my competitors says you can have it your way. Really? Good luck ordering breakfast after 11 a.m. You can order anything on the menu any time of day, whether it's a burger for breakfast or French toast sticks at midnight. Other places won't let you do that. And hey, if I'm saying something that's not true, do something about it.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. Costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. If you think size equals safety, the biggest chains will prove you wrong. The Golden Arches or a giant burrito shop might look like safe bets because they pump out the same sandwich or bowl in every city. The pitch is always simple: cheap, fast, and familiar. They built empires by selling you the same bite whether you order in Nebraska or New York. That sameness feels like control, feels like safety, but looks don't match what happens behind those swinging kitchen doors. The truth is, consistency falls apart when you look at health records. In a small diner, a spoiled onion might ruin a few meals.
Taco Bell is huge in the US, with over 7,000 restaurants across the country. It's one of the top 5 restaurant chains in the US based on sales, and a recent Harris poll also appointed it America's favorite Mexican restaurant.
I love Taco Bell. It's one of those type of restaurants that it's taco.
The company says its commitment to value and innovation is what's driving its continued sales growth. But how many variations of cheap Mexican food can Taco Bell concoct?
At a massive brand, that same onion moves through a supply system so wide that it ends up on trays across half the country. The result isn't disappointment for a handful of customers. It's outbreaks linked to dozens of states. All it takes is one weak ingredient sliding through unchecked. And it's not an isolated blunder. Over the years, people have filed piles of complaints about burgers, nuggets, and breakfast sandwiches, leaving them doubled over. The reports show patterns that repeat every season, enough that some customers aren't calling it fast food anymore. They call it a gamble. Spin the wheel, take your lunch, hope today isn't stomach cramps at 3 p.m. What makes the contrast sharper is the shine. These companies spend staggering sums on ads about clean kitchens and smiling workers, but walk into the restroom and you'll sometimes find soap missing. They brag about freshness, yet their lettuce is often the very thing pulled from shelves for contamination. Even so-called health-forward places aren't immune. The chain that marketed itself on freshness ended up writing a massive check to federal regulators after guests got sick.
It's like a dream for us.
Specifically, the fried cheese and avocado. Owner and chef Tavo Hernandez
Just a little bit of seasoning.
learned everything he knows from his late mother.
I can remember this. I was a little kid having these things here.
So you only have one of these? Does that mean that each and every tortilla is made
It's hand pressed, one by one.
Hit that taco with a little onion, cilantro, and homemade salsa.
This is awesome.
But the Hawaiian taco would prove to put up a tough fight.
Nice and grilled, fresh pico. We make our own chipotle here too.
So the danger isn't that you occasionally run into an undercooked burger. The danger is how predictable these failures are once the pressure of speed meets fragile supply chains. If the richest and best-known restaurants fall short, what happens when we dig into chains with darker histories? That's where the story heads next. Some chains made mistakes so costly they rewrote food law itself. The poster child is Jack in the Box back in the early 90s. This wasn't a minor slip. Undercooked beef patties went out the door in multiple states, and the chain slip created a headline-making disaster that forced regulators to overhaul how meat is handled nationwide. It wasn't just a local mess. It was the outbreak that set the bar for every burger cooked after it. Here's the kicker. That single moment still haunts the brand. Hundreds of people were sickened, lawsuits piled up, and the name itself turned into a punchline. People nicknamed it Jack in the Hospital. And decades later, even with stricter cooking rules and safety promises, the memory clings on. Brand apologies fade, but public suspicion lasts a generation. You'd think that kind of catastrophic failure would scare every chain straight. But fast forward to now, and you still see the same patterns lurking in plain sight. Fresh toppings that get celebrated in ads are often the first things pulled in recalls. Lettuce bags gone, tomatoes tossed, whole salads scrapped from menus when contamination shows up.
You okay there? Red scoop of beans. You get your red sauce. Seasoned beef. And then your tomatoes and your onions. And then you're going to want to fold it like this.
And that's been one of the favorites here in Manistee.
Every great chef has a great sous chef, and in a restaurant where homemade is the standard, so is tradition through the generations.
So this is my son. He's 16 years old. He's been with me for a while.
Take Taco Bell. Their supply lines turned a batch of tainted tomatoes into a multi-state salmonella problem. Nothing exotic about it, just simple produce handled wrong, and the costs stretched across more than 10 states. Wendy's ran into the same wall. Their push on fresh, never-frozen branding got undercut by romaine lettuce that sent over 100 customers to the hospital. All that marketing comes undone the second unsafe greens slip onto a sandwich. And behind the counter, workers admit the pressure is constant. One employee said, "We were so slammed we skipped temp checks on meat." Another admitted, "The lettuce was sometimes left out too long, but we served it anyway." Safety isn't a slogan. It's a daily grind, and speed often wins over rules. The thread connecting all of this is obvious. Chains promise fresh food and faster service, but those very promises stretch supply systems thin and push kitchen staff into cutting corners. So what's the takeaway if fast food safety is this fragile? The story ends with power, trust, and the choice you make when you order. Food safety failures in fast food aren't freak accidents. They're cracks built into systems that prize speed and low cost over real safeguards. When chains recycle the same weak habits, skipping temperature checks, rushing produce, or stretching supply chains too thin, the result isn't surprise outbreaks. It's the same story repeating under new headlines. You might want to question what's behind the glossy commercials. Double-check where that lettuce or burger comes from before you take the bite. Don't let slogans decide your health. Like and subscribe to help us keep the spotlight on the food industry's best-kept secrets.